Well, hi guys, it's that time. It's our Bible teaching snippet of the day. Today I want to hop in and do part 4 of our in-depth study of the parable of the rich man and Lazarus. This is found in Luke chapter 16, and Jesus is teaching this, okay? Now, what I would love to do as a Bible teacher is to change the title of that and call it the parable, the story of the rich man and the poor man, because that's actually what Jesus is trying to teach, okay? He is not trying to teach something about eternal, ongoing punishment in a lake of fire, okay? The word hell did not exist in Jesus' day. The word hell was put into our Bibles 500 years ago. That word there is Hades, and it's the grave or the place of the dead, okay? And Jesus is teaching an analogy, an illustration to teach a truth about how rich people have hardened hearts, and these were the Pharisees. Let's remember to always ask questions. Who is talking? Who is the person talking to? And what is the purpose of the writing? What are they trying to teach or say? And take into account the culture of the day, and does that apply to us? And yes, it does apply to us in some degree, okay? But it's very important for us to understand Jesus is talking to the religious leaders who had rejected and walked right past hurting, poor, sick people. They had plenty of money, plenty of ability to feed people, to care for them. This man was sick and had sores all over him in the analogy, and the man had plenty of money. He could have helped him get someone to take care of him, take him in, care for his sores, put ointment on it so he could get well. He could have fed him every single day and never even missed the food out of the kitchen, guys, okay? That's what Jesus is teaching here. But this rich man literally steps over. The man is laying in his doorway. As he leaves his house, he's at the gate, okay? The gate means a doorway. So the man is literally stepping over and walking past someone who is sick, hungry, and has sores all over him, okay? Now, I want to challenge you on this thought, okay? Let's just think about this for just a minute. You know, when we teach this doctrine that it is God sending people to hell, okay, in this parable, God is angry, getting even with, and punishing people forever and ever and ever in a place of hell, flames, and torment. I want you to think about this, okay? I'm going to read you a couple of scriptures real quick is what I want to do first. Let me go to this and see if I can find this. I think this is very much important today. So what we see in Scripture, Psalms 105, for the Lord is good. His mercy and loving kindness are everlasting. His faithfulness and truth endures for all generations. 1 Chronicles 16:34. Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, and his mercy and loving kindness endure forever. Here's another scripture. I don't have it pulled up, but we see over in Jeremiah, it says he has an everlasting love for mankind. He has an everlasting love. So now, let me challenge you to think about this, okay? What if a God of torment, of anger, wrath, and ongoing anger toward people, that he has to punish them forever and ever and ever in a conscious state, in a lake of fire? What if that's a pagan God that was made up by Greek mythology, right? And it isn't the God of Israel? What if it's not Jesus' father? What if it has nothing to do with the God, the Father of Jesus? Hebrews 1 says that Jesus is the exact image and likeness, the exact nature and character, the essence of God the Father. And you do not see Jesus saying, I am going to get even with my enemies and punish them forever. Actually, Jesus tells us that we're supposed to forgive people, forgive our enemies, and to love them. Okay, that's your challenge right there. I want you to think about this. Okay, what if we have our pagan mythology God mixed in with the one true God. That's what I've taught over and over again, that Jesus had to come and teach us truth about who God the Father was, because the people in his day did not know who the Father was. Sad enough to say, religion has got us so mingled up in our heads that we don't even know who Jesus' true Father is. And we need to go back to the basics of understanding who Jesus is so we can understand who God the Father truly is, and lay aside some of these harmful doctrines. Guys, I can tell you, I know that threatening people with going to hell when they're on the outside doesn't do a thing. The only people that doctrine scares and makes them do things like go to church and tithe and all of this are people who are already in the church religious system. And see, that doctrine that was put in place by the King James translators was working with the government and with the church leaders to try to control people. And trust me, fear of judgment. Okay, here's a scripture. It says, love cast out fear. Okay, love cast out fear. Where there's fear, it's fear of punishment and judgment. Okay, so see, if we know who Jesus is and who God the Father is, we don't fear going to hell in a lake of fire, right? Okay, so I'm through doing my little dissertation. Let me hop in here and talk a little bit about where I stopped yesterday, okay? And so here's a question. I was asking questions as I closed yesterday, and I want to ask another question. I want you to really, truly, honestly pray about this and think about this. If we use this parable that Jesus taught about the rich man and Lazarus to teach the idea of heaven and hell, why doesn't Jesus use wording that indicate that the rich man was unrighteous and was a sinner and was condemned by God to be put in an eternal, ongoing lake of fire? Why doesn't Jesus use terminology that says the poor man was a good man, that he was righteous, or that he was saved and accepted by God? You don't see any of this type of terminology in this parable. What he's doing is talking about a rich man who would not help a poor sick man. And that when it's all said and done and the struggle of human life is over, the rich man is living in this conscious state in the afterlife of regret. He's agonizing over his life choices. Okay? But let me keep going here. When I stopped yesterday, I read part of it, and we got to the part about torments, okay? And I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the word torments, okay? Let me see if I can find that real quick for you. And here it is. This is in the Strong's Greek. It's number 3600, and I'm not going to try to pronounce it because I'll mess it up. But it is spelled O-O-D-U-N-A-O. Aduno, okay? Now here's the meaning of it. To cause intense pain, to be in anguish, to be tormented, for one to distress oneself. Not somebody else causing the distress, but for one to be distressed because of themselves. Distress oneself, okay? Did you just see right here that it has nothing to do with a flame? It doesn't say anything about a fire here, okay? It is talking about intense pain, mental anguish, and regret. So let me keep going here. I do want to talk a little bit about the word flame because we find it in the scripture, guys, okay? What if we considered the fact that if this is truly an illustration and an analogy, that the word flame, okay, is an analogy as well, okay? So I want to talk to you just a little bit about that. And because he talks about he's in this flame. But watch, in the Bible, what we will see is an analogy about things burning and torment and stuff, let me read you a scripture or two. This is Proverbs 25:21. And it says, if your enemy is hungry, give him food to eat. And if he is thirsty, give him water to drink. For in doing so, you will heap burning coals on his head. Now, let me ask you, do you really think that that's truly talking about pouring hot coals literally on somebody's head? No, it's actually an analogy. It's showing you the torment that people have that relates to what it would feel like to be burning because the person was so kind to them. Okay, Romans 12:20 says the same thing. But because this is Proverbs, now I'm going to show it to you in Romans 12:20. But if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him drink. And by doing so, you will heap burning coals upon his head. Okay, so what I just really wanted to bring out is that this is not talking about a real place of fire. This is about a person being mentally tormented because they did not live the way they needed to. So here's a couple of other questions here. Well, I probably need to read a little bit, and I've got a few minutes left, so I'm going to do that. Let's go ahead and read some scripture here. And let me see if I can pick up where we left off yesterday, okay? And it says, but Abraham replied, remember, my son, that you used to have the good things in your lifetime while Lazarus suffered. Now he is being comforted, and while you are in agony, okay? See, this translation just says that the man is in agony, okay? So let me find where I'm at. And besides this, there's a great chasm that has been set between you and us. Then I beg you, Father, to send to my father's house, because I have 5 brothers. And there's a teaching in that, and I'm not going to stop and do that, but that number 5 and what he's talking about, I could go a lot deeper on that, but I'm not going to do that today, guys, okay? So he's got 5 brothers. Send Lazarus, he could warn them about all this and prevent their coming to this place of torture. And Abraham said, they have Moses and the prophets. They can listen to them. Oh no, Father Abraham, if only someone would go to them from here, from the dead. See, if someone would go to them from here, the dead, they would change completely. But Abraham told him, if they will not listen to Moses and the prophets, they will not be convinced, even if someone raises from the dead. Now, I want to ask you something. Do you see in the Old Testament, think about this, where Moses or any of the prophets taught about an eternal place of punishment, a place called hell, ongoing, conscious burning in flames? You will not see that taught by Moses or the prophets. Father Abraham would not have told him that his brothers can learn what they need to know through Moses and the prophets if that was in there and he was talking about hell. No, what Jesus was telling him is Moses and the prophet, the entire Old Testament, taught that the poor, the needy, and the sick, the orphans and widows, were to be cared for, okay? I've got plethoras of different scriptures that I can read to you, and I guess I'll just start on those today. I'm not going to get very far because I'm almost out of time, but I've got over 50 different scriptures that I have pulled out of the Bible where God talks about people taking care of the poor. So just let me give you a sample of this so I can prove to you what Jesus, who is God, was talking about, that his brothers had every opportunity to know and learn about without a dead person telling them, the guy Lazarus. Okay, Job 29:16. I was a father to the needy, because he was commanded to do that. God says to take care of the needy and the poor. Deuteronomy 15:11. This is in the Moses law. For the poor will never cease to be in the land. Therefore I command you, saying, you shall freely open your hand to your brother, to your needy and poor in your land. Okay, here we go. Deuteronomy 15:7. If there is a poor man with you, one of your brothers, in any of your towns in your land, which the Lord your God is giving you, you shall not harden your heart, nor close your hand from your brother. Okay, I'm going to sign off today, but I'll pick up here and just do another part on this because there's 3 or 4 more things that I want to mine out. I love you, and I'll see you here soon. Bye-bye.